Okay, so we'll start again. So I was saying that I published this as a mastermind, but actually it's a masterclass because it's going to be presented by the lovely Aldwyn, who is going to talk to us about PR and how you can save $1 million if you do it right. So Aldwyn, I think I made you co-host, so the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will share my screen. Okay, one moment. All right. All right, share screen. Here we go. Okay, you seeing that now? Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you for having me on today. It's a great pleasure to be here with your special members. We are going to chat about how to gain free positive publicity. In fact, how to gain over $1 million worth of free publicity. This is a highly underutilized strategy, and a lot of people are wasting money on advertising. And if that's you, or if you have wasted money on advertising, then this is something I highly urge you to consider in your marketing mix. Now, just imagine what would happen to you or your business if you were interviewed on Sunrise Tomorrow. What do you think would happen? Or on a major TV show, wherever you are in the world? What would happen, do you think? Just feel free to pop into the chat there. Or what if the Women's Weekly or GQ magazine did an article about you, if you featured in a major magazine? Or what if Oprah's office called you and asked if you would be available for a show? What do you think would happen? Just pop in the chat there. Thank you. Nobby says a lot of people would change channels. That's hilarious, Nobby. Nathan says increase clients. You have great confidence in yourself, I see there. Sherry, I'd have to hire more people. Yes, you could potentially, absolutely. Well, the thing is, when Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, now when he appeared on Oprah, it was actually the 27th of April, 2000, 3 years after he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He appeared on Oprah, and at the end of the 1 hour show, Oprah turned to him and said, "Congratulations, Rich Dad. We've just sold you 1 million books." Now, at the time, he was making $5 US per book. And so that was $5 million at the end of a 1 hour show. Now, 3 years after he wrote the book, mind you, and this is the thing, is that it doesn't matter if you put products out a while ago, it's never too late to get yourself out and be seen, heard, and known. Now, of course, that's Oprah, that's major media. However, even just appearing in your local media, even just your local newspaper, your local radio station, you are reaching hundreds of thousands of people. And local media particularly are looking for people in their local area doing great things. And so if they don't know about you, how are they going to report about you? And if you're not featuring in the media, then somebody else will be for your area of expertise. So why not you? And the other people I can guarantee that are featuring in the media as experts, they will be getting paid more than you. They will have more freedom. They will attract opportunities to themselves because they are leveraging their time and they're reaching so many more people. And this is something, particularly if you're time poor in business, then ideally look at leveraging yourself through the mass media, through getting featured on TV, radio, print, online and offline. It's very, very powerful. Now, this is all possible for you. And in fact, you only need to know 10% more than someone else to actually teach something. So you don't have to know everything on your topic. And just notice if the imposter syndrome comes in there. And if you hear any of these voices saying, "Oh, I'm not ready yet. I've got to get the sales funnel and the website ready and this ready and that ready. And I'm not ready and, never ready." All this kind of thing, right? And meanwhile, 5, 10 years goes past and other people are featuring in the media and not you. So just notice if that little imposter syndrome little voice comes up for you. It's definitely a very common thing, and it takes something to put yourself out in the media. We are in unprecedented times. Now, content consumption has got up at least 60% during COVID. at least. So a lot more people are going online looking for people to connect with, looking for experts. And plus, there's a whole lot more media that has come out just in the last few years as well. In fact, in 2018, we had 500,000 podcasts worldwide. Now we have 2.5 million podcasts as of this year, 2.5 million. So 5 times the number of podcasts out there. And all these people are looking for people to interview in any topic. And the fact is, your X factor is your story. Nobody else has your story. Okay. And if there's any hardship whatsoever that you've had in your life, and as a human being, I'd be surprised if there wasn't some hardship you've had, then there'll be a story right there about how you've come through that and what you can teach people from that. Now, also, we're at a point now with social media users that we've actually passed 3.9 billion of the world's 7.9 billion population of active social media users. Now, a lot of these are on Facebook. However, a lot of people are getting frustrated with Facebook nowadays and going more to LinkedIn, etc. And so things are changing in the social media world, and Facebook's becoming more of a pay-to-play platform nowadays. However, it's still where most people are, and if you use it effectively, you can still do some great things on Facebook without paying for advertising. In fact, this is going to keep going up. This is the stats here from Oberlo. As of 2025, we're looking to have 4.41 billion active social media users. So now you can see with 2022 we're 3.96, and that will just keep going up. So if you've been avoiding social media, then I recommend, perhaps it's time to start to look at that, or do a bit more in that area, or build your team and have someone actually do that for you. I have a full-time person who does my social media for me, and I do a lot myself, and I'll be looking to grow the team too, because the sky is the limit with what you can do with your social media and the people you can impact. And really it's important to go where the people are. And the thing is, with all media outlets, all the TV stations, all the radio stations, the newspapers, magazines, they all have social media pages. They all have websites where they share their stories. So now we've got this impact of the mass media world, where if you pitch your story effectively to a traditional media outlet, you will appear often in their traditional media, plus on their social media, plus on their website, and it will get shared around and can go viral very quickly. Now, a little bit about me. Why should you listen to me? And I know Fred says people love to talk about themselves, so I'll try and keep this brief. We were talking about this yesterday in our interview. I actually do have 38 years media experience. I know I don't look a day over 25. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say that. I actually started at age 10, believe it or not. I grew up in Sydney, Northern Beaches area, and I was a first generation Australian, Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian background, if you're wondering where my heritage is from. And my dad always watched the news every single night. He wouldn't just watch one channel of news, he would watch multiple channels of news. And often I would end up very sad and depressed by what I was seeing in the news. And my dad said anger is danger. So I internalized my anger for many years, which actually led to depression for me over the years. And however, he did introduce me to table tennis at the age of 8. And that was one way I was able to just belt the hell out of the ball, and became known for my killer forehand smash. In fact, I used to go to Melbourne a lot and train in Albert Park. The Australian Table Tennis Academy was in Albert Park before they ripped it down and built the new centre there. So I was constantly going down there. So Manly Daily interviewed me in North Bagala, and I remember the photographer getting up on a ladder and taking a photo of me. And I looked up at this photographer. I thought, wow, that looks like a really exciting thing to do. I'd love to do something like that one day. And that's where my curiosity for the media started. And then at age 11, I was on Cartoon Connection, if you remember Cartoon Connection on Channel 7. And I was in the studio, and I remember the TV host turned to me. I was looking at this massive camera in the studio, and there was probably about 30 people in the studio. And she said, Aldwyn, and she's sort of joking, she said, Aldwyn, just don't think of the 2 million people watching this right now, right? And all I could think about was the 2 million people watching this right now. I freaked out, and it was the worst interview ever. However, what they did have in the studio is they had a table tennis table behind us, and my brother and I got on, and I thought, I'm just going to focus on this table tennis ball. And so we were doing forehand to forehand, just across the table there, and they loved it. They had the clapping machine going, and they found it fantastic. And this is the thing, is that media don't just want to educate, they want to entertain as well. So what can you do that is entertaining as well as educating people? And the other thing about that is that often we're so close to what we do that we don't realize how that comes across for other people. Like, we were thinking, well, we're just warming up. Wait till you see our smashes and our chops, and but we were just warming up. But the fact we kept the ball on the table, that wowed them, because a lot of people are not able to keep the ball on the table. So what is it that you do that your genius, where other people look at it and think, wow, that's amazing. How do you do that? And often we're very hard on ourselves, and we don't see that as anything spectacular. And so that's the thing, is to, I suggest just notice when you're getting in your own way here, and realize that you do have genius to share. You do have some amazing things you do all the time that other people will think are amazing, but you don't think it's amazing because you're too close to what you do. I then went and I actually did a radio show at Radio Manly Warringah in Sydney, and I went on and did a media degree, and then in Canberra. I did a BA in communications there, and did TV production and photojournalism. And Fred and I were chatting yesterday about the darkroom photography and how much things have changed. You'll see all that in our interview on Media Queen TV. And then I became the longest serving editor of Curio, which is a university newspaper. And I started to write about stories about things that angered me or upset me in the community. And one of them was an anti-duck shooting story. I couldn't believe that people were shooting ducks for fun. And when I looked into it, the ducks don't die quickly. The lead bullets can often, a lot of them have really cruel, painful, long deaths when they're killed in these ways. And so one of the first stories I wrote was an anti-duck shooting story. And the headline was "Go and Get Ducked." It was pretty in your face uni press, right? And then I did another one about female circumcision. I did another one about battery farming of chickens, one about recycling in the environment. And back then there was no social media really. Well, 94 is actually when Facebook started, right? So we weren't really on social media back then. It's 92, 93. And I would get my news from, TV, from documentaries. And that's where, when I found things that I wanted to make change in, or I wasn't happy about what I was seeing, I thought, well, if I can just impact one person with this story, then it's worth putting that story out. And then I went and I did my first media training in 2000 and had repeated calls for more. And I ended up working as a journalist in TV, radio and print over the next 20 years or so across Queensland, New South Wales, etc. And I've worked in all types of media, TV, radio, magazines, newspapers, as well as have clients in a whole lot of different media as well. So it doesn't matter where you want to go. The strategies I'm going to show you today are the same, no matter if you want to end up in any of these outlets. This is just some of the mastheads where I've had stories in, or we've had clients feature in. And these are some of the magazines that I've either had stories in or contributed to. I was freelancing at one point for Jetstar magazine based in Singapore, also XL magazine that went out to 25 countries from Singapore, M magazine in South Africa, Business Acumen magazine, Queensland, etc. A whole lot. Raven Time Off I was writing for when I was in Brisbane. And then I founded my business while I was working as a journalist at the Sun newspapers here on the Gold Coast. I started a photography business back in 2002, and then that evolved into a media business. I've worked with small and large companies in that time. However, nowadays I love to work with the social entrepreneurs, the people who are out inspiring the world, speaking, authors, etc., people who are doing great things and want to make a change in the community. They're the kind of people I like to work with. So the ripple effect when we get the media is massive. I've also had the great fortune to interview a whole lot of amazing celebrities. These are just some of them here that I have interviewed. And there's a few things all these people have in common. One thing is that they're all really passionate about what they do. And, these people were not born famous, right? They weren't born famous. They became famous because they followed their passions. They did what they love. They were very good at it. So that's one thing that they have in common, or two things really. They love what they do. They're passionate about what they do. They were not born famous. Someone said to me, I was running a workshop in Melbourne a few years ago, and someone said they all take cocaine. I said, look, I don't know about their drug habits as to whether they're all on drugs. I can't speak for that. However, the other thing they all have in common is they have someone representing them to the media. They are not all representing themselves to the media. They have people that approach the media to line up the interviews. And then one of the last things they have in common is they have all toughened themselves to criticism. You do need to do that if you are going to step up in the media. If you're going to become more of a well-known figure out there, then there's going to be people that love you and people that hate you. In fact, right now, there'll be people that love you and hate you. It's just that you're going to see more of it. Okay. So it's like, you think about Donald Trump, for example, whatever you think of Donald Trump, there's people that love him and there's people that hate him, right? And every single celebrity you can think of, there's going to be people that love them and people that hate them. And you're always going to get the jealous people. You're going to get people that will want to pull you down, and that won't want you to be successful. And this is where your environment is really, really crucial, and having people that are going to be lifting you up as opposed to pulling you down. And those that are pulling you down, I always say, hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people. If there's those that are being nasty to you, then I just send them love. Doesn't mean you have to hang out with those people. Just send them love, right? Because they obviously need it, and let them go on their merry way. And nowadays, massive opportunity to start your own show as well. I started Media Queen TV back in 2014. I've got over 800 videos now on YouTube. Tech Webcast, I co-hosted that show with 2 guys from Melbourne and 1 from America who I never met. We did that for 3 years. That had about 1 million downloads in 8 years. And with what I do with Media Queen TV, it's all about inspiring truth and good news and helping to lift the energy on the planet, which is something I'm really passionate about now. So on your media journey, it's important to look at, what are you passionate about? And are you letting people know what you're passionate about? Okay, so for me, I'm passionate about inspiring more good news stories. Why? Because I've had depression. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. I have seen firsthand the negative impact of negative media. Okay, and a lot of the mainstream news is very negative, and a lot of people I see now, they don't watch the news because it's so negative. However, the beauty is now we have so many positive and good news outlets. Now we can share our news to, and any negative can be turned into a positive. So I have a personal story in line with why I'm passionate about more good news. And there'll be something for you too, with whatever it is you're passionate about. There'll be your story behind that. Why are you passionate about that thing? With animals, now I've done 15 years of animal action events. I'm very passionate about inspiring action for animals, and there's a story behind that too. I've always had an affinity with animals. I've always been very upset when I've seen any animal cruelty, and I've never known what to do about it. I've always been, I've done stories about it, etc., but it hasn't felt like enough. And so in 2007, there was a turning point in my life where I saw the Earthlings documentary. Now, if you haven't seen Earthlings, it's a very, very powerful documentary. It's actually featured, the link for it is featured in my Conscious Community Global Facebook group. You can see it featured in there. And after watching this documentary, I literally was holding my throat and crying, and was so upset by this documentary, by how we treated animals over time, how we use them for food, clothing, scientific research, etc. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying don't eat meat. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm saying please be kind to animals. Let's treat animals in a kind, compassionate way. There's no need for cruelty. Okay, if you're going to eat an animal, then kill it quickly and humanely, and don't allow for suffering. That's, and I'm not going to go down that whole debate now. However, the thing is the animal action events that we started was about inspiring awareness, appreciation, and respect for animals. And we raised funds for different charities for the last 15 years. You can see our last few years events up on the Animal Action Events Facebook page. We had about 15 performers and speakers at the last one, and some phenomenal people that have come together to support that cause. With the good news work, I started a Good News Day on the 8th of the 8th, 18, and then we now have a global Good News Challenge that happens every month. It's a free challenge you can do a Facebook Live or a LinkedIn Live, and just share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news. And we share that out to thousands of people. So that's a really great thing you can do to lift your energy and lift the energy of those around you, as well as connect with people. And it's a great marketing exercise too. It wasn't designed as a marketing exercise. It was designed to lift the energy on the planet, particularly during COVID. There's been a lot of depression, a lot of people going off the rails. In fact, we've actually had 4 times the suicide rates, believe it or not, through COVID now. It's been crazy times for mental health. And so the more we can do to help lift the energy, lift our energy and those around us, the better. Now, there's a journey people go on when they want to put themselves out there. They start out right here. This is my rocket ship model to get publicity. You start out as the world's best kept secret. Now, who feels right now like you're the world's best kept secret right here? Yes, okay, Nobby, I can see, yep. And then you make a start, and 50% of anything you do is just starting, right? So the fact you're here today learning about this is a great start. So I acknowledge you for that you've showed up for yourself today. And then you get some steady progress. Before you know it, you learn a bit about publicity, and then you start to get some runs on the board. You might get some local media coverage, or get some bigger media coverage, and then next thing you are shooting for the stars. And in fact, what would happen often as a journalist with regional media, we would get approached by national TV stations and national radio stations who would often, they would be looking at our stories in the newspaper, and they would be calling us to interview some of the people we interviewed if they like the story. And this is the thing, that media feed off other media. They're constantly scouring other media because they're looking for good stories. And so never underestimate the power of just getting into your local media to start with. You shoot for the stars, next thing you're getting some major runs on the board, and next thing you are a star. And what will happen is once you start to get some media coverage, the journalists will come back to you looking for more comment once they know that you know what you're talking about and you come across well on media. So whether it's TV, radio, or print, with TV and radio, it's important to be very succinct with your messaging. You've got about 3 to 5 minutes to get your message across with most TV and radio interviews. With news, you've only got about a minute. So really, they're looking for those grabs. With newspapers, magazine features, generally they might interview you for 20 minutes or an hour or so. So start with print media. I know a lot of the weekly papers have changed form. They're not printing so much now. There's now online versions, and different papers are now coming out through COVID, etc. There's online magazines. There's just literally millions of opportunities out there. Now, there's certain keys to success that are important on this journey. Passion, I've mentioned already. If you're not passionate about what you are doing, then what are you doing? Right? 1/3 of people die by the age of 65. 1/3 of the population, and that goes pretty damn quick, right? 65. I've been seeing people dying in their 50s. We've seen it through COVID. A lot of people dying, way too young. And we think we've got ages to do things, but if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then I recommend then just look at what are you passionate about and do more of what lights you up. And that's really, Bob Proctor, the late great Bob Proctor, just died recently. He was 87. And he worked right up until the last day. He died 87, I believe. And he did a video on YouTube actually that says how to find your purpose, And he said, just do what you love every single day. Do as much as you can of what you love. That was his advice. So what is your purpose? Often your purpose and passion will be closely aligned. And when you go out to media, what is your purpose for that campaign? Okay, what is it that you want to promote right now? Now, as an entrepreneur, you'll probably have many things that you want to promote, right? So what is it right now that's the most important? And if money is an issue for you, if you really want more money, then what is it? Consider the 80-20 rule. Consider Pareto's principle. What is it that you're putting 20% of your energy in and you're getting 80% result, and focus more on that. Then how you package up what you do for journalists is really crucial as well. Journalists can tell if you know what you're doing when you go to a journalist. It's very different to advertising. And then profile. People are going to Google you, okay? Journalists will Google you. They're going to see if you are coming across well on camera. If you have video content out there, they're going to be seeing what your public profile is like. Are you Googleicious? Are you Googleicious? And what does your profile say about you? Have you Googled yourself lately to see what comes up? Is there consistent messaging across your online presence? People is really crucial. Everything is done on relationships nowadays, right? And particularly with journalists, if you help journalists out, they're going to love you for it, and they will come back to you looking for stories. And then there's a process to getting publicity as well, which I'll cover today. And once you get the publicity, how do you then make the most of that publicity? A lot of people just don't share it on their social media. They don't email their clients. There's lots you can do once you get that publicity. So I have an awesome media magic formula. This is in the shape of a wand. And the awesome stands for, the A is for articulate your story. The very first place to start when you're looking to get publicity is, what is it you want to promote right now? And what is your story behind that? And really brainstorm a whole lot of ideas around that. What could you promote right now? And what's your story behind that? Why do you want to promote that thing? And then the W is about working angles. The media work with angles all the time. They're doing certain stories around Christmas. We've just got new financial year. We've got Father's Day coming up. We've got, mental health days. We've got Small Business Week. We've got all sorts of things you can tag your story onto. And that's just one of 9 angles that I go through. Different angles that I give people to jog, to consider when they're putting a press release out. What sort of angle can you tie in with? It could be something already happening out in the community. You could create your own event, like I have with Good News Day or the Global Good News Challenge or Animal Action Day. You could create your own event to create an angle around that, or it could be something that you could tag on that's happening in society now. Even with COVID, even though it's been going a few years now, media are still looking for how you're dealing with COVID. How are you coming through these times? What are you doing differently? They're still looking for stories around that. The E is about elevating your profile and packaging up what you do. And I recommend that you have here a press release, some good visuals. You'll need visuals even for radio, right? Because they're putting stories on their social media. They're putting them up on their websites. They need photos as well for radio. And then your pitch is the next step, which is around startle the media. Okay. Now with this elevate profile, just the last step, if you don't have a press release, you can get publicity, but you increase the chances that a journalist will get the facts wrong. Okay, so the easier you make it for them, the more they're going to love you. Okay, and that's where having a well-written press release. In fact, often a lot of our press releases now we put out for clients, they just get copied and pasted directly into media. And they won't contact you if they don't want an interview. If you've got enough in the press release, they'll just copy and paste it and they'll love you for it because you've just saved them doing another story. So startling the media is important, and Sir Richard Branson was great at this. Now he dressed in a wedding dress to launch the Virgin Brides venture. He dressed in a spacesuit to launch Virgin Galactic. He posed as a Zulu warrior to launch flights to South Africa. Right? So these are, over the top. You don't necessarily have to do all those things. But the more fun you can make what you do with the media, the more they're going to love that, particularly for TV. TV need visuals, really good visuals. Owning your power is really crucial as well then. And the O of owning your power. Now, this is where owning your power, this will involve sometimes inner work for some people, right? This is where we really look at overcoming your fears before you go out to actually do your interviews, okay? Owning your power is so crucial in that standing in your truth for what you believe, that no matter what a journalist asks you, you will be able to master your interviews, okay? And this is the M of the awesome steps, master interviews. There's certain things to do before, during, and after interviews to make the most of those interviews. However, at the very least, consider what are 3 things that you want to get across, 3 points that you want to get across in any interview. Generally, one of the last questions a journalist will ask you is there anything else you'd like to share? And so always check in with them. Is it okay if you mention your website? Right now, ABC Radio don't like you to mention websites, but most media I've found are quite happy for you to mention your website. So that's when, consider doing things like that. Consider what is your call to action from that media spot that you get, and really building those relationships. Thanking the journalist after the interview is really important too. And then E is exploding impact. Once you get your publicity, share it on your social media, put it up on your website, send an email blast out. Tag the reporters. There's so many things you can do to make the most of that publicity that you get and really share it across the mass media. Now, once you do that, you will build your fame, you will build your fortune, you will build your freedom, and you will leave a legacy. With every single media spot, you are leaving a legacy, which is my favorite benefit out of all of them. And it's a wonderful, you can impact so many people as well and change lives. So 3 main steps we'll cover today is the very first one, looking at your product or what it is you want to promote. What is it that you want to promote right now? Your product, your service, your message. What is the most important thing for you right now to get out? And what is your awesome? So consider when you tell people your story, what is it that makes them say, wow? And make a note of those things, because often you're too close to see your wow things that you do or how you've come through those challenges. Now, if we look at the cost of advertising, these are the cost of advertising. This is in Australia and America, very similar kinds of prices as well. So a 30-second spot on TV it will cost up to $25,000 for ads during high rating shows. And people don't just do one spot, they do multiple spots, right? 60-second spot, $500 in radio. Magazines, full page color magazine ad. This is an ad, not where a journalist is reporting about you, where you just take out an ad, $4,000. $10,000 for newspapers, up to $100,000 for the wraparound ads you might see. And yellow pages, for anyone who's still doing yellow pages, 30,000 plus. And then we have digital advertising. Now, generally speaking, most people I ask, they're not getting great results from their digital advertising. In fact, is anyone here doing advertising at the moment? Just pop a yes if you are advertising currently, if you're doing any online ads or offline ads. Anyone doing ads, just pop a yes. Okay, Nathan, you are? All right, I'd love to know what you're doing, Nathan. Facebook, okay, Facebook. And on a scale of 0 to 5, where 5 is you're getting brilliant results and 0 is it's a waste of money, I'd love to see, okay, 1. Thank you, Nathan. All right. And is anyone else advertising? Looks like maybe not. Okay, so this is very common, Nathan. Thank you for sharing honesty there. And this happens. And in fact, I've put money into advertising myself, and I'm not saying don't advertise at all. Sometimes advertising is good for some people. Nobby's about to start. Okay. You know, we trial and error or trial and terror with a few of these things sometimes, don't we, with different, different marketing methods. And you know, radio advertising, sometimes radio advertising I've heard is going pretty well at the moment, but generally Facebook ads are quite expensive. TikTok, people are starting to go over to TikTok now. You can get very cheap ads over at TikTok if you are going to do ads. Trial and terror, yes, Nathan, that's right. Trial and terror, exactly. Sometimes it is. So when you get a journalist reporting about you, it's actually 3 to 8 times more valuable than advertising. There's many online sources that talk about this. So we've just looked at those figures for the ads. It builds credibility, trust, and celebrity status like nothing else when you have a reporter who is doing a story about you. You can also target your message to your ideal clients because there's media on every single topic out there that you can imagine. And you will naturally increase your traffic, leads, and sales. We can never say how quickly that will happen for you with publicity. However, what I do with my business, I don't know anyone else who does this, we actually guarantee publicity for you with our packages. And no one else does that. Now, also stories versus ads, you've got 22 times more views of your stories versus ads, 22 times more eyeballs. And if you think about how you consume the media, if you're watching TV and an ad comes on, what do? Or if you're listening to radio and an ad comes on, what do? You generally suddenly need to go to the bathroom, mute, go make coffee. Nobby, exactly. That's what you do. You switch off, and yet people are putting all this money into advertising. And even on Facebook, etc., we see the sponsored ads come up. There's so many sponsored ads, they become very annoying as well. Time for cake. And channel flick. Yeah, Rebecca. Yeah, absolutely. Now, the good news is the media does need your story. Every single day, they need ideas for new stories. The opportunity is massive out there. And more people also, as they're going online with their stories, there's a bigger gap now that needs filling with offline media. And they're really, really busy. So you can help them out. Now, there's a 5-year burnout with journalists. They do tend to talk quite fast. Okay, you can see I'm talking a little bit fast today, and this is my slow version. Okay, as journalists, we tend to go, it's go, go, go kind of industry. And, you know, when you pitch to a journalist is really crucial too. You know, pitching in the afternoon is not a good idea. They're on deadline. And when you do pitch, you've got about 45 seconds to get your pitch across. You've got to be quick and snappy and straight to the point. Do not waste their time, or you will burn bridges. And once you burn bridges, there's no turning back. So with your PR campaign, look at what product or service do you want to promote or do you want to sell? And then what's your story behind that? What is your story behind what you want to promote? Why are you passionate about that thing? Why are you doing what you're doing right now? How is it helping the wider community? That's what journalists want to know. How is this helping their viewers, readers, or listeners? So for example, Stephen Esser, when we sat down, he's known as the webinar guy. Some of you might know Stephen. We worked together a few years ago. And he had a few different PR people he went to, no results at all. We sat down, we did an in-depth media consultation, and we came up with 3 different angles for Stephen. And one angle was that he had a great personal story where 5 years previously he was a panel beater in a heavy metal band in western suburbs of Sydney, and now he's a multimillionaire. He was a struggling artist and now multimillionaire. The other thing was he had some technology that he released, which enabled you to automate webinars. So then we had a tech angle. Also, he was doing some free events across Australia and New Zealand to help offline businesses go online. So these are 3 different angles we went out to the media with, and we ended up getting him on TV, radio, print, etc. Now, the media can be overwhelming. Who feels a little bit like this little Tweety bird here at the end? So you've got chirp, chirp, you've got ats and hashtags and lols and all. It's like a whole other language, isn't it, with social media? It's like, oh my goodness. And this little bird's going, what the fudge are you talking about? Well, the beauty is with publicity, it's important to present your stories as if a 14-year-old can understand it. Okay, so you keep the messaging very, very simple. So we want to take the tech jargon out of it. We want to take your industry jargon and language out of it when you go to media. Now, with packaging it up, I've mentioned press release, how important that is, having some good photos or visuals, and your pitch, really crucial with when you put your press release out. And you can target your message to the right media, as I've mentioned. So consider, where is your ideal market hanging out? Where your avatars, your ideal clients, what media are they consuming? And if you don't know, perhaps ask them, right? Ask them, what kind of shows are they enjoying? It could be podcasts, it could be online, offline media. Find out, consider maybe your top 5 clients and ask them what kind of media are they loving right now. And then you can target your message to that media. Here's some campaign idea joggers for you. Now, firstly, you could provide a unique solution for something that's out in the community at the moment. You could have an award angle. Now, there's literally awards left, right, and center all over the place. We've got at the moment the Woman of the Year Awards happening here on the Gold Coast. And what's happening with anyone who nominates, they're putting a big feature story in the bulletin, plus they're doing a story on Channel 7. Just every day they're featuring a new Woman of the Year award. So just by nominating, if the media are behind something, they're going to promote that thing. So whatever it is, if the Bulletin is sponsoring it, Channel 7 is sponsoring it. And I've just put Shah Moore forward, who just did the Girlfriend Hour TV. She just did like a Oprah-style show, live studio audience show here on the Gold Coast we were doing PR for. She just launched that this week on Binge TV networks. It's just gone out to 60 million people. Who's had this goal to do this for 11 years. It's amazing. And it's on YouTube. It's had over 11,000 views or so on YouTube as well, just this week as well. So award angle is really powerful. Controversy. What is it right now in your industry that's getting people talking? What are people talking about? What are they discussing? The media love things where people are chatting about things and controversy. Now, if I mention the word vaccine, okay, now vaccine in the health industry right now is a very controversial thing, right? Vaccinations. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. However, it's a controversial topic, right? It's controversial. It's getting people talking right now. Is it good? Is it not good? Da, 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 right? And then we've got 5G, and then we've got, oh my goodness, we can go on and on with controversial things. And did you know the term conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA in the 1950s to knock anyone who spoke against the government? Isn't that interesting? Anyway, do your own research on that. So new statistics here are very important. The media love new statistics, okay, whatever it is, they love it. And you can create your own surveys and present some new statistics. Otherwise, there's Australian Bureau of Statistics. They put out stats every so often, and there'll be different companies that do that you could tag on new statistics in your area as well. Current commentary. What is currently in the news? Now, COVID, I've mentioned, still current for the news, right? Okay, we've got Ukraine, we've got Ukraine-Russia situation, we've got inflation. These are all current commentary situations right now that you can actually make comment on. The underdog. Who is it out there that you could really assist? The underdog is about helping someone less fortunate than you. Now, a few years ago in the bulletin here, we had a kid that needed a wheelchair. He had a weird blood disorder, and the big story in the Sun newspapers. This kid that needed a wheelchair. And the next week, Sahil Aberdeen, who runs the Sunland Group, you would have seen Sunland Group, big developers on the Gold Coast, he donated a wheelchair to this kid. He ended up with a massive 3/4 page spread in the paper about good old Sahil has donated this wheelchair. The wheelchair probably cost him $1,000, and the free publicity would have been worth at least 20 grand, right? So, what can you do to help someone who's already calling out for help in the media, and it always comes back and will repay you in other ways. The hero angle is about where have you overcome some kind of challenge in your life. So where are some points in your life where you've had some really low points, and how have you come through that? It doesn't have to be necessarily that you've gone from broke to a multimillionaire. What is it that where you've overcome some kind of challenge? That's your hero angle. And then celebrity, attracting a celebrity to something you do is another great way you can get publicity. And it doesn't have to be even a big celebrity. Okay, I'll show you an example of that. Does not need to be even a big celebrity. If you just have someone who's fairly well known out there and they're attracted to whatever it is you're doing, then the media will love that. And the last one here is pick opportunity. You can have an average story, but if you have good pictures to go with it, then you're going to get a better run. Okay, because media has to, even magazines, you have good photos for magazines, you're going to get a better run than if you have crappy photos. Now, this is an example of the start of a press release I did for Dean Vegas, he was actually voted the world's best Elvis impersonator. And we were saying, basically, I got brought in on this campaign back in 2012, now 10 years ago, this one. And a week out from the campaign, he hadn't launched that he was doing this launch. No one knew about it, right? So a week out, we came on board and we basically said the angle for this story was that if Dean made it in as mayor, he was going to stop performing as Elvis. And so you can see the types of photos we presented to the media. We've got the corporate looking Dean, and then we've got the Elvis Dean here. We've got the fun Elvis. Now, what happened is in a week, the place ended up being packed. We had TV, radio, print there. He got his point across about what he wanted for the city, etc. Now, what happened is he didn't actually make it in as mayor. However, he was booked solid as Elvis ever since. And that's the thing. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? No such thing. And this is one during COVID. This is Dr. Mir. He's actually now in Canada. He's gone back to Canada. But we put out a press release at the start of COVID saying fear of COVID is making people sick. And then we did a positive story. We turned that negative into a positive and said, these are simple ways you can boost your immune system. Simple things such as breathing deeply, avoiding refined sugar, drink plenty of water, eating plenty of fruit and vegetables. Now, these are, we know these things, right? Simple. See how it's simple languaging. However, it's a doctor saying it, so it has that authority. And the media love this, right? Turning this negative into a positive. When I spoke to Laura Nelson at the time, she said, oh, thank goodness, a positive story. The media, journalists are sick of negative stories as well. They've had enough of it as well, a lot of them. So, there are ways you can get that out. So this ended up being in the Gold Coast Bulletin. This was a massive spread in the news section there. And this is a photo I did of Dr. Mir with, you can see the colors, having bright colors and a high resolution photo is really important. And then it ended up being on Channel 7. We made sure we got this photo with the reporters. This is Martin Renault here from Freedom Potential Centres doing some other filming. And then we're on Channel 9, and these are other ways you can maximize the media you get, is make sure you get these photos with the crews because TV crews, they're going to run in and run out. They'll be there, they'll be 5-10 minutes and they'll be out to the next job. So at that time, it's important to just capture quickly a photo and ask if it's okay to promote it in social media. And I've never had anyone say no to this, right? They always say, oh yeah, that would be great. And then you can tag the reporter, tag the film guy as well, the videographer. Then we had Teresa Todd. Now, this was during COVID as well. She started to do some empowering women's webinars online, and she's actually a naturopath here on the Gold Coast. And during COVID, she was homeschooling her children because the kids weren't allowed to go to school at one point, and she was running a business, and she wanted to help women in business who were homeschooling and helping them get through that time. And at the time, social distancing was in place. And so we had this photo in Mudgeeraba where we had the social distancing with the crew. However, if you don't have someone to take your photo, then you can always do a selfie like this, okay, like Teresa did here. And at the time too, the radio stations weren't allowing people to come into the radio station. And so I advised Teresa to get a photo at the front of Juice FM as well. She was on Juice FM there, and just to show the logo. And this is another way she can maximize it, to put that up online and say thank you to Juice for the interview, because obviously a phone interview is, it's not something very visual for social media. So if you can get the branding of the media outlet in your photos, that's always a good way to go. And this is Hans Jacoby. He's a property expert. He actually retired 11 years ago, and he came out of retirement at 66 years of age, and he decided to do a bounce back to freedom tour and travel from Bundaberg up to Darwin with his wife of 41 years, beautiful Colette here. And she wanted to inspire people through COVID. He wanted to inspire people through COVID. So that ended up being on Channel 7, Channel 9, Triple M did several interviews all the way up the coast, ABC Radio, Northwest Star, etc. And, speaking to Hans, I said, I said, Hans, look, you know, you really don't need to do this. It's fantastic you do. And I said, why else are you doing this other than inspiring business people? And he said, well, I'm doing it for my children and my grandchildren. He said, because they learn more from what you do than what you say. And I thought that's really beautiful. So he was doing it for his family as well. And I encouraged him to get these photos when he had Win News Townsville. I wasn't up at Townsville at the time when this happened. So he got these photos and we shared it all over social media. So it's never too late. The next thing is platform. Where do you want to go with your media? Which TV outlets, which radio outlets, which newspapers, which magazines do you want to go to? And of course, now with pay TV, we have so many TV outlets out there looking for content as well, if you want to go that way. And specifically, if you really want to target your message to your ideal clients, then as I mentioned earlier, find out what media they're consuming. The opportunity is massive. Just in Australia alone, there are literally thousands of media outlets. The magazines alone, 1,600 magazines just in Australia alone, yet alone, you know, America would have a lot more and the rest of the world, literally millions of media outlets out there looking for stories every single day on their topic. It's about getting the right message to the right person at the right time. And that's when the love comes in and the money and other opportunities come in as well. Which TV outlets, which radio, when you get them, make sure you get these photos. This was me being interviewed for some different animal action events over time. I'm on Channel 9 here on the left. And we were talking at the time doing a fundraiser for Sea Shepherd. And the angle we used in that particular interview was around Sea Shepherd were actually paying $50 million just in fuel to take their boats down to stop the Japanese from killing the whales off Australian shores. And then on the right, this is actually Herb Armstrong. You might have heard of Louis Armstrong. This is Louis Armstrong's grandson, Herb Armstrong, who actually lives here in Brisbane. He was performing at one of our events, and that was in the ABC radio studio. You can see I've got the Animal Action t-shirt on. I've got that strategic branding there. And in this interview, I was actually asked what we call a curveball question. And this may happen to you in your media interviews. The curveball question they asked is, what do you think of the live burial of thousands of sheep in Pakistan that had only just happened? We were there promoting our event with our performers and speakers, but they threw this curveball question in. And I said, oh, it's absolutely disgusting. So what had happened is that we do live exports from Australia to other countries of sheep, of these thousands of sheep. And these sheep arrived and they thought the sheep were diseased when they got to Pakistan. And they basically threw all the sheep into a big pit and they buried them alive because they thought they were all diseased, right? It might have been one that wasn't well after a, 3-day trip or whatever in a boat, and they buried them all alive. So it was absolutely disgusting, cruel. And so I made comment on that. So be aware that at any point you may get asked a question like that of something that's current in the news on your topic that may not necessarily be about what you want to promote. Right, so being prepared for that. And then newspapers, this is the very first animal action event that we did back in 2007. We did a fundraiser for the Animal Welfare League, and this is Dean Vegas actually performed, and you can see colourful photo. We had a clown there as well, and then we've got dogs in the photo representing what we're doing as well, dogs and even a cat there as well. So how can you make it nice and colourful? And we actually had many front page stories as well across newspapers. When we look at the value of the actual free PR, this is Tracy Corman runs Two's company, a dating agency. And now if she took out a half-page ad in Business Acumen magazine, she would have paid $2,000 for the ad. So we've said the publicity value is worth 3 to 8 times more in value. So let's just times it by 5 to keep the numbers equal. So that's $10,000 worth of value for having a half-page story. Plus she's gone to her ideal clients. She wanted to attract more business clients. And we put out an angle, Two's company warns singles to be careful of shonky dating agencies. That was the angle we went with. Now, if she wanted to go to, say, a major women's magazine, then she could have put out an angle like 5 ways to find your soulmate, could have been the angle, right? So different angles for different media. This is Alan Coulton. He's based in Brisbane, and he had this product called root barrier. Now, when he came to me with this, I thought, what the hell is a root barrier? And it's this massive plastic barrier that you put around a house, and it stops the tree roots from coming under the house and cracking the foundation of the house. And so if he'd gone to the media and said, I've got this root barrier product I would have want to promote, they would have said, just go take out an ad and pay thousands of dollars. in advertising. And when it came to me, we looked at what is the story behind the story? How is this helping the wider community? And we said, well, it's actually saving trees and protecting buildings. So we came in with an environmental angle. Also at the time, the Al Gore film, An Inconvenient Truth, had just come out. So there was a lot of discussion around global warming, etc. And then we got a photo of Alan with a nice bright shirt. We've got the tree, we've got his plans there. And that story there ended up being a 4-page spread in Australian Horticulture magazine to his ideal clients. Now, if you paid for ads, it would have cost him $16,000. And the publicity value there is $80,000. Plus, he got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of new clients from that, because his clients respect that magazine, and now he's seen as an expert in that magazine. So just one media spot can lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars of new business for you. The third step here is around profit, making the most of your media. Make sure you capture those photos, capture your press clippings. You can always ask the media, can you get a copy of the interview? I just did an interview last week on 89.3 FM in Sydney. It was a 1-hour interview on the Business Talk Show, and they just sent me a link, and now I'm promoting that everywhere. So it always is important to ask the media, can you get a copy? This is Peter Turner. He's a local filmmaker here on the Gold Coast. Just one story in the local paper led to a $200,000 funding offer for his film within 1 to 2 days of the story coming out. And with this one, we actually used a celebrity angle. And this is the actual story that went in the Gold Coast Bulletin, 3/4-page spread. Now, it's not even a big celebrity. This is a guy who came up from Sydney to the Gold Coast, and he's a Home and Away star, which is a local TV series, Silvio Offria. And the fact he was on the Gold Coast from Sydney, and it was a lovely positive story, soap star awash with enthusiasm for coast crime drama dream. Lovely positive story there. And there you go. It doesn't even have to be a big celebrity. And just from that story, $200,000 funding offer. This is Claire Flynn. She's a relationships coach, and we put a story out in Newland magazine, which is 80,000 copies went out. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and also New York to 5-star hotels. It was a high-end magazine. And she was giving people tips in business on how to have a happy relationship, because if your relationship's no good, then your business is going to potentially suffer too, right? So we did this lovely story here. From that one magazine article, she got asked to speak at an event in front of 450 of her ideal clients. She had more inquiries and leads on a website, and she doubled the amount she was making in her business just from that one magazine article. Then we've got Paul Herman here. He's a property investor, and he's fighting bank fraud. So he's taken on Channel 9, A Current Affair, Gold Coast Bulletin, ABC 2GB, and he was talking about the way that loans were done, where they were fraudulently altering the income amounts on these loan documents. And he was speaking up about that, and he even arrested the ANZ Bank for fraud. He actually chained up the ANZ Bank and did a big media stunt as well, which of course the media loves. So he was, this is how one person can take on the big guys with the power of the media. Aussie Mega Mall, another company I worked with, their online stores. They had no media coverage when they came to me. We had about 40 media spots in a month. And what happened in 2016 went from 875,000 products in 3,500 stores. And now they've got 8 million plus products and 32,000 plus stores. So they've 10 times their business. And just goes to show good news sells. It's like an online business directory. And for people to have trust in an online business particularly, it's important that he had that credibility of featuring in the media. And we had them on Channel 7, Channel 9 as well. And what happened is when they were doing a story about Amazon or some e-commerce, that they came back and actually asked the directors for more interviews. That's what happens. Once you get known, they will come back directly to you. Steve and Esther ended up on Sky News Business TV. We were told that we had 3 to 5 minutes for this spot. Now, Steve is actually a very good public speaker on the professional speaking stage, but he had never spoken on TV before. He'd never been on TV. He was very, very nervous. We did some media coaching together and did a mock interview together, and he ended up with a 6-minute spot. And he blitzed it. He did so well. And that would have cost him, if he did 6-minute ad, would have cost him $300,000 for 6 minutes of space on TV. And the publicity value there times 5, that's $1.5 million of free PR just from that one TV spot. And being an online marketer, what he was doing is he was actually sending out flyers and letting everyone know, as seen on TV. Once you're on TV once, you can promote it everywhere, right? You can use that logo and the branding forever in your marketing once you're on there just once. And celebrating your success, also share in social media. Everyone likes to be acknowledged on social media. So remember to tag the media outlets, thank the journalists, and put these on your social media and watch how your credibility and cash flow grows. Something we do with our clients too is we do media success images. And so whenever they get a media spot, we share it all over the place and thank the media outlet, and just continually putting out media success images, which you'll see on our social media. There's a whole lot of PR distribution sites you can get your press release out to. I don't have time to go through all of this right now with you. Some of them will charge per email, some of them charge for contact lists. However, what I've found is a lot of these contacts on these different sites, a lot of them are out of date. And so it's important to really build your own connections with media ideally, so you're not wasting thousands of dollars with these different sites here. However, you may want to look at that and look at some of those. Now, SourceBottle is something I would highly recommend you do look at. This is a free site here in Australia. Actually started in Melbourne, SourceBottle, and this is where journalists actually go on there and they will say, we want an expert in a certain field, and they'll actually put up opportunities, and you can browse free publicity opportunities on SourceBottle. In America, Help a Reporter is very common, helpareporter.com. Sherry's nodding, yes. So Help a Reporter is a really good one. There's another one called radioguestlist.com is another great online site where you can get media opportunities. So I do recommend hop on there. Through SourceBottle personally, I've featured on Yahoo Finance, Women's Weekly magazine, Ticker TV in Melbourne. There's a whole lot of opportunities have come, and I know a lot of our clients have had great success as well through that. Now, Michelle Patterson, she's an empowerment coach that came to me a few years ago, and we put a press release out. She wanted to promote her Empowering Women series that were coming out. And we said, Coach empowers women who underwent forced adoptions. And this press release, now we had some interest in this press release, but we tweaked it just slightly to this one. Mother opens up on secret forced adoption after 30 years. Now with this press release, we were literally inundated with responses. Now, as her representative to the media at the time, we ended up actually selling this story to Women's Day magazine. We sold the exclusive. They paid thousands of dollars for this magazine. And these are behind the scenes photos. So at her Labrador unit here on the Gold Coast, they sent a photographer up from Sydney. They sent a hair and makeup person into her unit, and these are all behind the scenes photos you'll see here. Women's Day exclusive, and we couldn't do anything with this because it was embargoed. We couldn't release it until the story came out in Women's Day magazine. So it's very important to honor that if you have an exclusive story. And we made sure we got these photos, building the relationships with everyone who works in the media, even if it's the hair and makeup person, you'd be surprised who they know, and you know, the photographer, etc. It's all about building relationships. And this is the story that ended up in Women's Day magazine. 2 pages of stories here. I kept my baby secret for 30 years. Aussie mum speaks out. Only in Women's Day, it says there. And if she paid for 2 pages of ads, there would have been $60,000 she would have paid. Publicity value times 5, $300,000 on average. 1.6 million readers. She's now inspired with her story. Plus her website, which you can't see too well here, but at the end of the second column, in the second paragraph, the second column, she has her website featured for her business. So her website is there for her business, even though she's talking about her personal story, right? So it's a great lead magnet for her business as well. And again, the importance here of having good photos. See, the photos their photographer took are the big ones here. The little crappy little photos, they're the ones that she supplied that from her childhood. She obviously didn't have some great photos back there. Crappy photos will get a crappy run, okay? This is Sheila Mack. She's based in Los Angeles. She joined our Mass Media Mastery program, and she had over 50 media appearances in a month. She has her own show now. It actually goes out to now 5 million viewers now. She goes out to the Sheila Mack Show, and she interviews a lot of our clients as well, a lot of our members in our Mass Media Mastery program. Amazing lady. Kurek Ashley, he was from America originally. He moved out here to the Sunshine Coast. And this is a Zero to Hero story we did. We actually had this story in Excel magazine, and it was a 4-page spread we did about his personal story, how he was once $20 away from being broke in several countries, and now he's a multimillionaire. And how did he do that? And interestingly, this story actually got held over from 1 month to the next month. And Kurek always wanted to be on Oprah. That was his big goal. And would you believe, this is the last 2 pages of the story, this story ended up in the same magazine as Oprah on the cover. So he was raving about this. He couldn't believe that, 4-page feature spread now. Oprah has in her hot little hands a 4-page spread on this Sunshine Coast success coach. And again, I want to show you here the photos I took of him. I took that photo of him at Kawana Waters, just outside his property. He was into motorbikes, so we wanted to represent what he did, his waterfront, luxurious lifestyle that he has now. And that photo on the left I took of him. Now, these photos in the middle, this is when he was a stuntman in Hollywood. This is a photo with Chuck Norris on the left, and this little black one here on the right there, that's John Travolta in there. But even though they're big celebrities, because they're crappy photos, they get a crappy run, okay? So again, the importance of good visuals, so crucial. Now, how would your life be different if you were seen as the go-to person in your niche? How would your life be different, do you think? Feel free to pop in there. Lie alone, Nobby says. If so many are looking for stories, then why is it so hard to get media coverage? Maybe that's a state of mind there, Nobby. It's actually not hard to get media coverage when you know what you're doing, okay? So if you have that belief that you think it's hard to get media coverage, then you're going to potentially block yourself from getting media coverage. It's very easy to get media coverage when you know how, and when you have a good angle, and when it's pitched effectively, when you have a good press release. You need to know these steps to do it effectively. If you're pitching something too commercial, or if you're not pitching it effectively, you're going to get knocked back every time, right? So it's a good question, and that will definitely, having that point of view on that will definitely stop you from attracting opportunities there. Okay, so what would happen? How would you be different if you were seen as the go-to person in your niche? How would you be different, do you think? How would life be different for you? Feel free to pop in there. Feel free to pop in there. Okay, how would your life be different? And do you really want to create change in your life? Is that you? Have you come to a bit of a stalemate? And do you think maybe it's time now to really step it up? Nobby, I've given up on media coverage. Thank you for your honesty there, Nobby. Well, it's not too late. It's not too late, my friend. Okay, you can always get media coverage for the right reasons. You don't have to smuggle drugs from Bali to get media coverage. Okay, you don't need to do any crimes. Okay, there's definitely ways you can do this honestly. Fred says financial freedom. Thank you so much. All right. And do you want to charge more for your products and services? Most likely, a lot of people don't charge enough for what they do, right? They don't. And if you're known as the expert, you can naturally charge more. In fact, people will expect to pay you more. Sherry says, yes, you want to. Excellent. Fantastic. Well, that's a great place to start, is actually having a willingness to change. Do you want expert status as well, and to make a bigger difference in the world? Is that you? Rebecca says, I'll cancel the order for the boogie board then. Oh, you guys have got such a great sense of humor. I love it. Must have some of Fred's impact on you there. And do you want time and life freedom? Time and life freedom. How important is that for you? Also, if you want to fast track your success, do you want to fast track your success? Now, successful leaders have the courage to take action while others hesitate. Action machines we are. And that's a lot of entrepreneurs do take action, which is awesome. Rebecca says, I make Fred look funny. Well, the fact is, my friends, you're not getting any younger. Okay. Now, unless you're on some amazing anti-aging products, in which case I'd love to know about it. Please do. Please do share the love. Generally, you're not getting any younger. And so you're not going to look as good in the media next year as you will this year, as an example, in general, right? In general, not that it's all about looking good, but we do like to look good, right? It's not all about that, but we do like to come across well. Single malt, you're not getting any younger. Now, what I have today is I have actually a very special offer for you guys. And what I have is a free Publicity Secrets masterclass coming up on Zoom. This is a 4-hour intensive. I've actually got it next week, Friday, July 22. This is Australian time, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9 to 1 p.m. So for America, it will be afternoon to night sometime, the night before, July 21. Now, tickets are $197. We have a VIP option, which is $294, which includes the slides and the recording of the 4-hour masterclass. We only have a 10-minute break. It goes very fast. As you know, I can talk, and it is interactive as well. So it's a fantastic event. So my special offer today is I have a media strategy session. I'll do one-on-one with you, where we'll find some gems to your story and look for some ways to market you, and also look at your branding. Your branding is really important as well if you want to stand out. A ticket to the free Publicity Secrets masterclass for $197. Also a VIP upgrade, and this includes of slides and recording. The value is $12.94, and today it's just $197. So just $197. That's Australian dollars. So American is only about $50. It's about, I think it's about 150 or so American, something like that. And this is the link to go to. So freeprSecrets.com. And if you just go there and get the 197 ticket, I'll know you've been here, and then you get all those extra bonuses. So you get the media strategy session with me one-on-one, which we can do on Zoom. And also you get the VIP upgrade included. All my links are here on Linktree/Aldwyn. You're welcome to scan that if you'd like for easy access. Easy access, you can go there. I've got all my social media links there too. Love to stay connected with you, whether we work together or not. I'd love to see you in the media. A lot of people have attended this Free Publicity Secrets Masterclass and gone straight out and got publicity. So I do not hold back on the content. I'm sure you've seen today, we've given a whole lot of value. Hopefully you've enjoyed what we've shared here today. And also we have a Global Good News Challenge. I mentioned every single month. This is a way you can get free promotion as well. And the details of that are in the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, pinned to the top of the page. We have new challenges every month, and it starts the first Monday of the month and goes for as many days as whatever number month it is. So for August, we've got an 8-day challenge coming up. And this is a great way to overcome your fears and get on camera and do that Facebook Live or do a LinkedIn Live and share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news. And as long as you hashtag Global Good News Challenge, then we'll be able to share the love and share that out to our community as well. And it's all about lifting your energy and lifting the energy around you. You will feel amazing when you share gratitude. And others will feel amazing too. They will connect with you. I also invite you to stay connected at our Mass Media Tribe. We have meetup events that we do online as well, Facebook and Meetup, Mass Media Tribe. We've been doing these events for years, and we have different guest speakers, different media experts, etc., that come along. And I have a Mass Media Mastery program for those who want to work more closely together. I invite you to have a look at this as well. We have an Ignite and an Illuminate option. And this is a guaranteed publicity program. It's a lifetime access program. And I'm happy to have a chat with you if you would like. My Calendly link is also in the chat there in the Linktree/Aldwyn. The world is your oyster, my friends. And this is what it's all about. Shine bright. I believe in the power of one, and I believe in you. May your flame burn bright and light up all those around you. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I will stop the share. And if you have any questions, be happy to answer those. Oh, we went a little bit over time. Apologies for that. Just noticed. I can keep chatting.
You know, that was amazing, Aldwyn. I've actually picked up a lot of stuff in there, and it just, the time went pretty quick because the content was eye-opening for me, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fred. Does anyone have any questions? No, I know there's a fair bit of content. Hopefully not too much content for you. Hopefully you got all that.
We'll have the replay up and available to members as well, so that if anybody wants to go through it again, because there was certainly a lot of content in there, and you did go pretty quick. So, people will probably want to review it, certainly.
Yes, absolutely. The main thing is to take some action if you feel this is for you, if you feel it's time to step up and be seen and known as the expert. And even if it's not the number 1 expert, there's always a number 2 or number 3 expert. The media have several experts on their books in all areas, right? So even if you're not the Michelle Bridges and the Tony Robbins of the world, it's okay, because journalists will have other people on their books, and often they can't reach the Michelle Bridges and Tony Robbins of the world anyway. Often they can't reach them. So they'll be looking for their local experts in whatever field. So it's never too late, even if you're resigned and cynical about the media. Okay, Nobby. Okay, even not pointing out anyone in particular. Even if you've, and I get it, because, media can be very frustrating. There has been a lot of negative news lately. And while there's all that negative stuff happening, there's also a lot of amazing people doing phenomenal things. And the more we can focus on that, and the more we step up with our message and actually share our positive news, the more we're impacting the world around us as well. The ripple effect of that is huge. So if you're not stepping up with your message, then you're going to remain the world's best kept secret. It's just how it goes. And it's very comfortable there. It's comfortable as the world's best kept secret. So it takes something to step up. And I do recommend that that you work with an expert in this field if you really want to get great results. You know, whether it's me or someone else, just take some action and step up and inspire those around you.
I actually, you mentioned Source Bottle earlier, which like the media platform. I actually used that a couple of years ago when I had my original podcast running to get interviews. And that was amazing. Like I could fill the spots with ease by just posting up the request for interviewees on Source Bottle. So it works both ways. So it's a great platform.
Yes, it is. Source Bottle is very easy. Just you can do a paid platform, but you don't need to. Just do the free one. Browse free publicity opportunities. Fantastic. Source Bottle is really good, and you've got opportunities all over the world. They're not just in Australia.
I must be the odd one out here because Source Bottle's never worked for me. Harrow's never worked for me. Local media people have never worked for me ever, and I'm talking about not a response at all. Doesn't matter how many times I've put in, and even though originally I paid thousands of dollars to not media companies, what do you call them, PR companies.
Yes.
So, you know, and yet everybody always comes out, look at all these fantastic stories. The other side of the coin is, look at this, zero, nothing, zilch, nada.
So that could be what you were pitching and how you were pitching it. I would love to know. We probably don't have details to go into that now, but the fact is they are featuring people all the time, and it could be what you were pitching. It might have been too commercial for them. It could have been how you were pitching. Did you have a press release ready to go? Did you talk to someone at the outlets? It's not a matter of just emailing and then hoping for the best, because they get pitched. They get about 500 press releases a day, a lot of journalists, right?
I'm not talking about me direct, Aldwyn. I'm talking about even just 3 to 4 weeks ago, a PR person, right? Doing the same sort of work as you, right? Took my pitch and pitched it. And still
well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's unfortunate, and this is why I guarantee publicity with what I do. I don't know any other PR people that do. I guarantee publicity. So even with the Mass Media Mastery program, with that, and we actually do PR for people as well, and we guarantee publicity. And you know, no one else does that I know of in this field, because we can't actually guarantee where we're going to get you. But I will guarantee we'll get you either TV, radio, print. We'll get you in podcasts. There's plenty of opportunities out there. And so if you're not getting publicity, generally it's one of those areas that's falling down. It's either the pitch, it's the angle. If it's not an angle they're interested in, or if it's too commercial.
Well, I'll tell you what, right now, what I do is I show people how to eliminate their debt in less than half the time, right? Interest rates increasing, and the cost of living increasing, and this has been going on, and I've been doing this since 2006, right? So you tell me, since all that time, when has it never ever fitted in as being the right story? And I don't mean to sound, you know, rotten or anything like that. I'm just saying this is a topical story every day of the week, and yet nobody has ever wanted to talk about it. So, you know, why? That's why I just get so cynical.
Okay, so are there other people out there talking about the same topic?
Yes. You go to America, Dave Ramsey talks about his crap all the time, and he's an idiot. And he's got millions of followers. Right?
Okay, well, isn't that interesting? And that's the thing, is that often there'll be other experts out in the field that are talking to media and not you, and they're idiots, right? Or they don't know what they're talking about or whatever. And so the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there. It's how it's pitched, it's what's pitched, and having a date on what you pitch is important too. Otherwise, what can happen is a story can get held over and held over and held over if you don't have something with a date to point to. Okay, so, and you can do that in several different ways. There could be an event coming up. It could be, I mean, now we do have high inflation, how to reduce the debt. Yeah, that's important. They might see it as being too commercial. It's hard to say in just 2 seconds why that's happened for you.
You've got people on Channel 7 in the morning on Sunrise who gets around and talks about how to reduce your debt, how to do this, how to do that around money, right? And yet no one wants to talk. You call them up and you say, hey, listen, you had a great story on, how would you like to do this? No, not interested. Well, what more do you have to do? So obviously, you know, it's not got nothing to do with being commercial. It's got to do with helping people out and yet they don't want to know about it. So I get really, I'm still cynical. Sorry.
And that's the thing is, and I get it. I get the frustration too, Nobby. It sounds like you've really had a good go at it. You've really, you've gone out there and you've tried all sorts of different things, and you've probably wasted money on some PR agencies, unfortunately. I do hear this quite a lot. And this is why I guarantee publicity. I don't want people paying me unless they're getting results, right? So I do things differently. And that's how I think we should all do business. I think, we should be looking after people, don't take the money if you're not going to get results. And so I would tell you, if we were doing a media consultation or media strategy, I would tell you if I think I can get you media or I can't get you media. And obviously it needs to be something, if you're doing something around animal cruelty, I'm not going to promote you. Okay. It needs to be something I'm aligned to, which you're not doing anything around animal cruelty, but there's got to be an alignment. It's got to be something I believe in. The fact is you will have a personal story there, regardless of your topic you want to share around reducing debt, right, Nobby? There's probably a reason why you're so passionate about this right now.
It's all about women, right? The inequality for women.
Okay.
And how women get treated, and how women always were saying to me, look, I don't want to know about investing, financial planning, retirement planning. I just want to know, how do I manage my daily money? So I created software that shows them exactly how to do that.
Okay.
And turns their life around, 30-year mortgage down to less than 10 years, but nobody wants to know. So, what the hell?
Okay. So it's promoting the story behind the product. Okay.
I've done that too. That's the main thrust of the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I don't know why you haven't had publicity then. It's either something in the pitch, or it's, because it sounds like you've got some good stories there. So I don't know why they haven't picked it up. But the only thing I can think is, the follow-up is really important. As I say, not just sending the email out, it's actually following up, getting the feedback from the journalist, and what you actually present, what that press release is like. You can actually see there's a few press releases up on my website if you want to see some examples on aaexpos.com/news. You'll see a few examples there. We're just updating our website at the moment, but there are a few examples there of the types of press releases we've had. And we guarantee publicity. We've got clients in the media all the time, doesn't matter what their background. So we definitely do get results, and there's millions of outlets to get results with. So it's kind of frustrating that you haven't had results there, Nobby, but it's not too late. Okay. Just because it's kind of like as a toddler, how many times do we fall over as toddlers? 1,000 times or something before we learn to walk. And what's the KFC story? How many times did our Kentucky Fried Chicken man, how many times did he pitch himself before he, had success? So there's a great saying. It says it takes a lifetime to be an overnight success.
That was Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
There you go. Yes, it's never too late, Nobby. I get your frustration. I totally get it. And it's a shame that you've put so much into it and not had results. It kind of blows my mind, and I'd love to see what you were doing. If you like, I'm happy to have a free chat with you and actually just have a look at one of the last press releases you sent out, or something you've sent out, and let you know what I think, if you'd like, as a journalist. As a fellow journalist, if you'd like to. I have a look at that.
There's always two sides to a story as well. Everybody always spins the positive side of everything, but nobody ever wants to talk about the negative side of things. But the negative is probably more in the there's more in negative than there is in the positive. I don't know. It is frustrating as a word, correct?
Yeah,
and because Source Bottle and Harrow, as I say, you write to them and you don't get a response even, so there's nothing to follow up on.
Well, I've had response. Well, that's not necessarily the truth. That might be your truth, but it's not the truth necessarily.
Well, it is. Right? That's my truth. Nobody's come back to me after they put in, we want a story about around money and finances and budgeting and blah, blah, blah. So you write to them, you give them all the information, you never hear a word back.
Okay. Right? And as long as you keep saying that story, you're just going to keep repelling energetically.
Yeah, I've had the opposite to that, Nobby. As I said before, I've used Source Bottle and never an issue. I did 76 podcasts, and they were all sourced out of Source Bottle. Right?
Yeah. So
never an issue.
I've got to be a bad writer then, I'll tell you.
There's something amiss. There's definitely something amiss.
There's something, there's something. And it could be, as I say, just notice your energy around it. Because if you're frustrated and if you've got really negative energy when you're going into it, like this isn't going to work, then you're actually going to energetically repel. And this is all in Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. We all vibrate at different energies. And if we're coming in with a very negative energy to start with like, this isn't going to work, then it's not going to work. Whereas if you go in with a positive attitude and you go, it will work, or I'm confident that this will happen. And being committed, not attached to how that's going to look. Okay. Being committed to what you want. What is it you want? Do you want more leads, more sales? Do you want to reach more people? Whatever it is, there's always opportunities out there. It's about how you choose to look at life. And even though you haven't had success in this area, does not mean that you do not have a great story to share and you do not have a great product. It's just, it sounds to me, it's like how it was pitched or what was pitched was not getting their attention. And that's where I'm happy to look at that for you, Nobby, and see, give you my opinion on it. But, there's literally millions of opportunities, 2.5 million podcasts alone. There's millions of opportunities to get your story out.
All right, guys, we've gone well over the time. If there's no more questions, I'll probably call it a day. So, but I really appreciate Aldwyn. It's been magic. Great session. Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you. And thank you, Aldwyn. Great content. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And Rebecca, I know you getting cut off and with your iPhone or whatever, so the replay will be up and available, so you can certainly worth watching. It was a great session. Yes, thanks for coming. Thanks all. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.